Google CEO, Sundar Pichai, Indian background. Microsoft CEO, Satya Nadella, also Indian background. So whenever there is an Indian background that take over the helm and run the company as a CEO, seems like the company do very well. I think I have to be very careful in the words right here. My name is Eric. So if you are first time here in YouTube, welcome to WealthPulse. Welcome back to Goodwill. Tonight is not just about me sharing news. A lot of it's like our discussion within our community. So like what we always believe, we believe in collective wisdom, in a sense that collective wisdom from people who put in effort and time to learn about what happenings out there in investing world. So in terms of collective wisdoms, what we can do is a lot of time is like what we meant about like touching an elephant, right? So we might touch the leg, we might touch the tusk, we might touch the nose, but when we come together, when we share the information, that's when we can get the full picture of an elephant. So unlike what they said, like blind leading the blind, that's not what I believe in. I believe in most of us are generous. Most of us are kind enough to share information because no point hiding the information. We are not the big whales per se. We are not the fund manager. There's no what they call it, Chinese war, whatever war. We are here as an individual investor. We are here to learn from each other. We are here to excel ourselves, our knowledge, and of course, in the end of the day, what reflected in our portfolio is like positive return. So this is what we believe in. So once again, welcome all of you coming back. It is really exciting for me this time around doing it on YouTube Live. There's a lot of things happening at my place, but nevertheless, I'll do my best to share everything I know right here.
Hey everyone, welcome to our weekly WealthPulse session. This is where we dive into money management and life every Tuesdays at 8 p.m. live. If you are new here, let me give you a quick intro. We are an international team of educators and product technologists who develop digital tools and content to help with investing and financial education. We believe a world where people can live flourishing life without money constraint. Our mission is to inspire people to integrate investing into everyday life and build their life investing portfolio. And we are here to experience life to the fullest, and that's why we are always experimenting, trying out what works and constantly evolving to shape our life portfolios. And we are advancing together with purpose-driven people. That's why we are excited to build this community with all of you. Now, a quick intro to our online spaces. Beside our various social media and communication channel, everything leads back to our Goodwill community platform. That's our base camp, where we all gather to share, discuss, and support each other through the ups and downs of the market. WealthPulse is our weekly community gathering where we talk about the latest market trends and development. Together, we filter out the noise, gain clearer insights, and grow our money, investment, and life. We are also stepping up our offline event so we can meet face-to-face more often. At the end of the day, my goal in building WealthPulse with all of you is to help everyone boost your confidence and ease any anxiety when dealing with the ever-changing market. If you got any questions, feel free to drop them through this page by scanning the QR code. A quick disclaimer here, all of our sharing here is just for educational purposes and is not intended as financial advice. And now, without further ado, let's welcome our host for the night, Eric.
Just a quick roundup for the last session.
Coin is reaching ATH, all-time high, ATH. And then after coin reaching all-time high, there's this, I think it's Republican, like raising this week as a crypto week. So Coinbase is one of the crypto exchanges that is closer to our authority or closer to regulator. So there's a lot of different exchanges out there, especially in crypto world. So we did talk about this company, MicroStrategy. I think 3-4 months ago, like how this company, their main service is not making much money, but all their money are making from investing into Bitcoin. And their strategies, like they are not holding gold, they are holding the crypto world gold standard, which is Bitcoin. Next, big news right here is TradeDesk is soon to join the index. So this news, I think, have break into our WhatsApp communication. He has shared this news in WhatsApp. TradeDesk going to S&P 500. And Robinhood missed it. So instead of choosing Robinhood S&P, choose TradeDesk to replace all the company. So if you are SPY investor, means you buy stage 3 S&P 500. So imagine if every ETF they just buy on the day itself, it will just move trade lines upwards, that they will have some tracking error. So if you have been investing Facebook since the day of their IPO, you are looking at close to 23 times since 2012. I'm not the best investor, and yeah, I'm missing out all this growth. Yeah, I switched to other company. For example, I switched to Microsoft and Salesforce. So if I stick to Meta, my portfolio would be much more nicer. Not all the time you make returns, but average, if you can make good progress, good result, then you're better than most of the people that maybe just invest in bond or even just holding cash. If you earn or make some money that is outside ability, sooner or later you'll give back to the market because you don't understand what is it. You don't grow in the sense that improve your investing. Back then, there's a saga whereby Sam are being sacked from the company. A lot of people within the team say, if you sack Sam Altman, all the team will leave the company. But things like when money come to the picture, there is a different story. Sam Altman, in one of the podcast interview, they shared about, they are paying as high as 100 million just to get people in to join the company. So if you look at Meta growth rate, they are the highest compared to Microsoft, Apple, and Google. So it's 20% a year for everybody 1 year growth. And then if you look at their PE are not the highest. It's in the 20-ish area. But statistically, stock that split usually outperform the market.
Topic of the day night is like, is AI hype dying? And then is this worse than a dot-com bubble? Right. To bring you through some of the things that we have talked thus far, like from NVIDIA, TSMC. We will talk about TSMC in a short while, in a little bit, but more of like another company called ASML. And we also talk about Palantir, Doc, Simity, SoFi. So for SoFi investor, congratulations, you might be sitting in quite a good return right now. And Microsoft as well. We also talk about Meta and whether Meta will break up. So these are the topics that we have covered thus far. And last week itself, or the week before, we talked about Magnificent Seven. Should the Magnificent Seven, the company, be changed and stuff like that? So tonight we also touch a bit about like our indexes. So if like a person investing in S&P 500 right now, is it a wise choice? And then why not? Right. So we'll cover that in a short while. So for those who have like your Google Community access, just go to your WealthPulse, go to exclusive. There's a recording right there, so you can just go through recording again. And we'll be talking about ASML. So for those who didn't like go through what is ASML, like what the company does, you can always go back to the video itself. Okay. So market update. So right now, market is like all-time high again. So compared to last week, it's already all-time high, right? It's like they break the all-time high again. And right now, we are still in a very super greedy or extreme greedy and greedy zone. And so market is very hot. Even like crypto is coming up after the Genius Act bill. So last week, the Genius Act bill being signed, and then the crypto market, the crypto world is like crazy right now because they signed. I think it's approval in regards of the stable coin. So like previously, if you want to like transfer your money over to other country or other account across the border, you need to go through like Swift, whatever, different bank. So there's a lot of like transaction costs in between. So right now with stablecoin, you might not need to pay so much. You can just transfer across account, I would say, using like stablecoin. All right. Yeah. So market is still in very high. I will not say euphoria yet. It's like very high. Everyone is like, wow, celebrating their portfolio wins. Yeah, so within our community, we're also celebrating our portfolio wins. But to this week onwards is weeks that we come to our rational mind, whereby you look at our earnings of the companies that we invested in. So this week itself, there's a lot of companies coming in. For example, Intuitive Surgical, a so-called robotic in like surgical machine, and then we have Tesla, Alphabet on Wednesday. ServiceNow, if you have heard of it, I mentioned it in one of the summit that we held. Like I participated in like years ago with Bill McDermott. So I like to read. So one of the books that I read before is Bill McDermott. So Bill McDermott previously is the chief of SAP. Then he will go through some transition. Right now, he's with ServiceNow. So he have revived SAP previously. Right now, he's reviving ServiceNow. In fact, he's bringing ServiceNow in another all-time high. Yep. So and IBM is a company that like really surprised me a lot. So if you have like heard of IBM, building their own laptop, that era. So I come from that era, but IBM is still producing laptop. Yeah. Before they sell it to Lenovo. Yep. So this is me, like my era back then. The IBM laptop is the one to go. Yeah, but right now they have already sold off their so-called laptop services. They go into consulting, and right now I think they are pretty much in AI consulting. I didn't go find out what they are doing right now, but I follow their YouTube channel. So they have been like creating a lot of content in terms of like the technicalities in AI. So for me, I'm not an engineer. Don't have technical like expertise in like coding and developing like AI stuff. But I watched their video. They explain what is for example what is RAG, what does like Gen AI man. So they have been creating all these video in a very simplified manner. So if you'd like to learn about AI, I would recommend you to go YouTube, find IBM. Then you search some of their very very good video right there. I also jokingly this morning, I like conversed with Jin Xian. I said, hey, you know what? One of the things that I found from IBM is I think I have to be very careful in the words right here. So a lot of our tech company CEO have an Indian background. So for example, Google CEO, some Indian background, Microsoft CEO, also Indian background. So whenever there is an Indian background that take over the helm and run the company as a CEO, seems like the company do very well. So I was just jokingly, when is like a CRM turn? IBM from bottom right now they have like April, right? The company itself share price have went up. So Intel CEO right now is a Malaysian, and then is take over from the ex CEO. Intel is still having issue right here. Yep. So these are the few companies that will be going to announce their updates this week itself.
Okay, so let's talk about IPO. So close to 3 years ago, like 2022-ish, there's a talk about Adobe acquiring Figma. This is a very big news for Adobe and also for Figma because of antitrust law, whatever, they are stopping the acquisition. So Figma have to go back to like their IPO plan. And Adobe have to pay 1 billion because of the cancellation of the acquisition. So there's 1 billion being given to Figma, and right now Figma is looking to raise another 1 billion. And right now at $28, 1 billion, I'm looking at 16 billion market cap. Not really a huge company, but for a company to go for IPO, that's that 16 billion is quite like score high now. So let's look at the valuation instead. So if you have used Figma, you know that people are using Figma, you know they are the so-called preferred platform compared to Adobe XD. So for a team or developers that are building some like app or interface, they use app design or web design, whatever. So this app design, all the developers will go back to this Figma to do collaborative work. Designer, developer, program manager will come to this same platform to discuss about how to develop this further. So this is what Figma about. And previously, the valuation is 20 billion, but right now they are going at 16 billion. So let's see what is the valuation of this company and does this valuation make sense? And then like what for IPO before, but let's look at this IPO. Does it worth looking at it? So I just simply searched that. So in 2024, Figma generate close to 800 million. So 800 million, if the market cap is 16 billion, all right. So 16 billion is the company price. 800 million is their sales number. Their price sales. So you just take 16 divide by 0.8. You know that their price to sales is at 20 times. And so aggregation, this Figma IPO is priced at 20 times. This company, their price to sales ratio is at 20 times. And they are looking at so-called close to 30 to 40% so-called growth. So they'll tell you everything good about the company. They're like high dollar, like retention rate. The 500 Fortune companies are using them. Like they have 30 million monthly active user. Okay, so that's all the fundamentals, the key numbers that we should find out further if you like to look into this company. But let's just look at the price and valuations. So nobody just look at the single company. Let's look at the comparison. I don't want to pay planted because Palantir is outlier. It is too outlier to compare. Let's look at some of the companies or tech companies that we can closely compare with. So for example, if you look at CrowdStrike, it's at 30 price to sales. You look at Cloudflare, is like close to 40 price to sales. So it's like quite high already. But let's look at the more I would say down to earth. So Datadog 17 times, Microsoft 14 times. Microsoft, such a huge company, is 14 times price to sales. But if you look at Adobe, it's at 7 times. Adobe, such a huge company, is at 7 times price to sales, but Figma is at 20 times. Yeah. SoFi is in a high single digit. All right. So you tell me, is Figma 20 times price to sales high or low? Just comparison for this few company. So if you ask me, I would think that their valuation is at the high side, and they are not without competition. They are not monopoly, or they are not outbreaking kind of like technologies that everyone should adopt. They just have a nice interface. They can put people together. They have the size of 30 million user. But if you ask me, is this a very strong mood? I would say not very strong mood. They might be right now the preferred one, but maybe right now if they are team that getting smaller, you just need some draft or some communication. You don't need to have a platform to do collaborative work. Maybe people will just talk on Slack rather than on Figma. So all these numbers I get from Fisker.ai. So thanks Fisker.ai for supporting this. And if you like to use their platform, previously they announced that FishChat. So just go to this QR code, or just go to click.guru.com/FinChat. Previously is FinChat. To use this Fisker.ai. This is our referring. So, but when it comes to IPO, that I have my fair share of experience in IPO that I didn't get a good result. So previously I applied for any Asia X IPO. You know what does the company happen later on, but yeah, it's not a good experience of investing in IPO, but I just only apply for one share. So, but if you look at very recent one, Singapore NTT REITs IPO, the first day also went down. So what is the reason of all these things happen? So this video I would like you all to watch, which is what does Buffett think about IPO? So let's come to this. So IPO, a lot of time they price it high because they like to get the funds in first. So a lot of time the pricing of the IPO is high. There's a potential you are paying overpriced IPO. Of course, they will sell you 2-3 years, 5 years down the road, but this is not confirmed. They are just selling you an idea or plan or growth whereby they might achieve if you invest right now. But a lot of time we have to look at the current valuations. Does it make sense for you to invest right now? And a lot of time, they will have some run up or they will went down, but a lot of time, they will period whereby it went below their IPO. So some of companies that went through IPO route will go through this route. For example, when they go IPO, they went down. Yeah, so we don't invest at IPO because I will say IPO investor is sucker, but a lot of times you are paying at a high price. So Buffett says stay away from IPO at all costs. Yeah. So the first piece of things I will share in line on what Buffett has shared. Don't go for IPO because the valuations might be too high, and a lot of time when the valuation is high, the share price went down. If this is still a good company, maybe there's a more rational time to invest in company. It might run up higher and higher, but who knows? You also don't know Palantir, their price to sales can go up to 100 times. Who knows? But this is a very, very high valuation whereby if you buy right now, there's a potential that you get hurt. If Gong Cha or Koi or Cha Ji is $0, who don't mind drinking the tea? So if you ask me, if the drink is free, why not just get the drink, right? Yep. So this is what happened to the delivery case in China. Jingdong, Meituan, or even Ele.me, they have this chase of getting or acquiring user. And this chase have made them to pay for the tea to get or acquire the user to use their platform. Rage this last week also is about the China like car companies, for example, BRT, they are slashing their price, right? So BRT are slashing their price, drive the price downwards for all the EVs. So this is also happened in the so-called delivery businesses. All right. So I first thought, hey, this is a good situation for consumer like us because if I can buy cheaper, whereas right now it's free. But if you think deeper, if this company continue to do this, all businesses, right, in the end of the day, they will still need to make money, right? There is a potential that this company will find ways to cut costs. Yeah. I wonder who paid the cost. Yeah. So obviously all the platforms are subsidizing it. All right. Okay. So So there are potential when there's like competition, whereby I like to win this race. There will be competitions that drive down the price. And for businesses, the next thing they would do is to drive down the cost. So if they do whatever it takes to drive down the cost, what will you think about the quality of product? So most likely, some of the businesses will think, maybe I will not use this high quality ingredient. I use sub quality ingredient. If I use sub quality ingredient, if the cost still cannot make it, means I cannot make money from this cost, right? I drive it down further. I find a very, very extreme alternative just to make this thing affordable and I still can make money. In the end, do you think it's good for consumer? Not quite right. Yeah. So this is what happened to Chinese market. Yeah. So the harder the manufacturer drive the competition, right, is good for consumer. This is what we thought so. But this is what happened in the Chinese like community. So because it's free, I just buy 1 year in advance, put everything in the fridge. So this is what happened right here. I just buy 1 year in advance. And all the store owner, right, suddenly there's a flood of order. The order just keep coming in. It's like, wow, I never made so much tea in my life. And then if they are so busy, right, would the quality of the tea their first priority? Obviously not. Their priority is to clear the order. I don't know who run F&B before right here. I run in the kitchen before. When the kitchen is busy, no one cares so much about the standard as a priority. Everyone just think of how can I clear the order so the customer will be satisfied they get their product or they get their food first. If not, it will be double whammy. Food is bad and also the speed is bad. Yeah. So the Chinese Communist Party or the Chinese the government will warn them, hey, please don't anyhow slash price. Yeah, it's not healthy to slash price. All right. If you slash price, in the end of the day, all would get hurt. Businesses get hurt, consumers get hurt. So instead of slashing price, right, why not we just go for better tech and caliber? So this is what the Chinese government advocate for. And then they call all the different delivery partners like Meituan, Jingdong, Ele.me, all come together. Hey, I tell you guys, please don't do this anymore. Please focus on improving tech instead of like putting the bill of fighting for market. Yeah. Because in the end of the day, yeah, you may win the market, but all the consumer lose out. Yeah. And then maybe because of all the orders, the quality went down, right? Nobody would like to purchase from this store. Your platform is supposed to support all these like SME, support all these food so-called food and beverage like companies. But in the end of the day, you make their quality, make their food looks bad, quality looks bad. Yeah, they might make some money like these few days, but how about the rest of the month? Yeah, so this is the thing whereby China urged them, or even the market regulations come in to say, please refrain from doing this. Okay. Yep. So this is the second piece of news. And because of this piece of news, right, actually it's a good news for the market, because I would say there's a healthy competition. People are doing in a healthier way, maintain a market equilibrium. That's why Meituan share price went up. Yeah. If I would run a business in China, I would definitely listen to what the government say. I think lah. Yeah. For investor, that is also the reason why we also look at what the government is doing to regulate, to create a healthier market. Yeah. Yeah. So sometimes government interventions or government invisible hand might not be helpful or might not be healthy, because we should run a free market. But some of the companies, some of the things that happen in China, sometimes is too extreme. So with government coming in to regulate, to make it healthier, I think it's good. Yeah, don't you think so? Yeah. So this is the second piece that I'll share with you guys. All right. Before I go to ASML and talk about AI hype, what do you think about AI hype? Did the peak, or there's room to grow? Google community, the WealthPulse session is a paid subscription. So subscribe to WealthPulse, $10 a month, then you can access to this. TSMC break the 1 trillion market cap, the first Asian market company that went 1 trillion. So if you have invested in TSMC, just yay! Any
Yay!
TSMC investor, yeah, this is a super big news in our Taiwanese community, because most will be two companies in their portfolio, TSMC and NVIDIA. Some of them will even have AMD. So this first thing, right? It hit 1 trillion is very high valuation, right? So is AI in the hype right now? AI bubble may be bigger than a dot-com bubble based on the PE valuation, the forward PE valuation. So if you look at S&P, excluding the top 10, right? So the top 10 companies are going like very, very high valuation. So for example, NVIDIA, Microsoft, Google, Amazon. So these companies are having a very high valuations compared to your S&P 500. It's a very high valuation at the moment compared to our 2000 dot-com bubble. So you can see the big gap right here compared your S&P 500 and the top 10 company. All right. And there's a talk about like AI mania is worse than the 1999 tech season, or also the tech era. All right. So one of the things that being brought up in this discussion is about S&P 500. So if your top 10 company in S&P 500, right, so the price is so high, right, and it drive up the percentage of the S&P. Do you know that top 10 company S&P 500, right, takes about 40 to 50%. Right, S&P 500 supposed to be 500 different companies, right? But right now the top 10 already take up 50%. Let's look at this graph. Previously, if you look at in the 90s, 2000, or even in the 2010, or before it go to 2020, right, the percentage of the top company earnings right here is like in a 20% or whatever. But the share of top 10 companies, right, is more than 30 to 50%, or now it's 40% right here. All right. So the concentration is too high in our S&P 500. So there's a talks whereby people are talking about, if you like to invest for diversification, right, maybe S&P 500 or even QQQ, your concentration is too high. Yeah. So these are things that are in talks in the market. Should you like to diversify your so-called like investment, right? So if you ask me, right, you are Asian now, so we are not so bound with like just investing in US market. So you can choose to invest in Hong Kong, you can choose to invest in China, you can choose to invest in Singapore. Right. So if you like to so-called look for diversification, right? So one of the things that we can do is look for geographical diversification. But if you are not really looking into like other region or other countries, right? So next thing is look at sector. All right. Then second way is look into sector. So for example, you can look into health, energy. So Warren Buffett, Berkshire Hathaway invest in the top 5 conglomerate in Japan. So one of the things that in the interview itself, right, there's this thing that brought attention to me. There's this ETF called BUZZ, BUZZ. I will just type in, this ETF is very, very interesting. This ETF, right, they invest in companies that have like very high social sentiment, that people of the product, whatever, is growing better and better. Yeah. But what they rely on is really on pure social sentiment. What is the social world or social like social platform are talking about, and then they invest into it. All right. So you can see company like what Rocket Lab, Coinbase, SoFi, Unity, Robinhood, AMB, Supermicro, Nvidia as well, but MicroStrategy or like becoming part of the GameStop. So you see the top companies are it's not exactly meme stock, but it's like close to meme stock, I would say. Yep. So this is Buzz. Yeah, Unity. Right. So you see like the Buzz stock, right? Went up higher than our SPY. Yeah. So if for me, S&P 500 or QQQ, I invest for long term, the gap of valuations will just adjust a lot accordingly one, I would say. Yeah. You see the graph, right? Sometimes went up, sometimes went down the concentration. Yeah. Sometimes they will replace the company. Yeah. So it's like this is just how the market works lah, in like business or even investing market. Yeah. So for me, I still continue in SPI because it's a long-term plan. I still continue with QQQ for my own portfolio. Yeah. So for me, I didn't change much lah at this current moment. Yeah. Unless there's a big thing that happened in US, then then I need to relook in the whole portfolio lah. Then bus is high. Yeah, you can say that. So is high right here? Is it high? Yeah, two times SPY. Yeah. But the hype is not just happen on the so-called the I will say meme world, the investing world. Actually, the whole market right now is at a very high valuation like region. So if you go to this current market valuation.com, you can see that for buffer indicator is like two standard deviation away time, but mean revision is at two standard deviation away. So right now, according to all these like model right here, right, is too far from the mean or even the one-time standard deviation. For example, you can always stay at one-time standard deviation, but when you go to two times, right, a lot of time there will be a pullback. Yeah. Yo. So I will not say that it will happen immediately, but if you pay too high the price again, you're bound to get hurt at some point of time. But let's say if you have planned to so-called like average in, then it's different story. Okay. Beware of valuation. This like Google Buddy. So I will not play this video. So Google Buddy, we have latest like update right here. So if you have not used it, I'll strongly encourage you to use it. If you have friends or your family members that want to check their expenses closer, please introduce this like Google Buddy to them. Right now, not just like updating your receipts or even your bank statement or typing in right now, you can just use voice. So for example, bak kut teh, 30 ringgit, or can eat 30 ringgit bak kut teh. Is it enough for a family? Not enough, right? Should be 50 or 100, right? Bak kut teh. I don't know. Yeah. So yeah, so you can just voice input. So bak kut teh 30, or maybe McDonald's 15, Big Mac 15. Yeah. So you can just use voice right now. So is AI dying? ASML share price crash 10%. Is it bad? Before we go to ASML share pricing, actually on last week itself, the same day after the end of our sharing, right, Trump's permit Nvidia to sell advanced chip to China. Any Nvidia investor right here, yay! Right now I can sell more, yay! Our H2O chip can sell into China. We are not worried whereby they would just copy, imitate, produce, reproduce the same chip. But in actual fact, right, actually a lot of protective mechanism, right, in the end, right, actually would result in more competition or result in competition that is unnecessary. I'm reading this book called like Chip War, right? So Chip War previously also talk about companies that can produce like lithography machine. And even US also like to produce their own company to produce lithography machine, but they failed. In the end, ASML, because they are a neutral country, they able to outgrow the Russian, the US, or even the Japanese. Because they are in a neutral country, Netherlands. Yeah. So back then, there's like a team of spy. They go to US to spy how they manufacture chip, and then they'll go back to Russia and produce the same. But Russia They are too focused on copying the technology that resulted in they cannot advance. Yeah. And in actual fact, US allowed them to do it. US allowed the Russian to go into the US companies just to see what they do and how they do. And the Russians, their goal is just to duplicate. Their goal is not to research or develop. Yeah. So I don't know, like if this happened same to Chinese in the sense that Chinese will just duplicate, but even without allowing them like duplicating, right now they are doing their own R&D really. So do you like to know what stage they are in, especially in China, whether they can do the same or whether they can produce ASML in China? Yeah, so this is also the thing that I was thinking. If I invest in ASML, right, let's say Chinese company are able to do or produce even better. In terms of manufacturing, right, China is one of the best that can produce the best thing in the world. So if they can recreate ASML in China, most likely this China ASML, they have a big market within China already. They will not care other fulfill their own Chinese market, then they go out and fight the other world. So if they are able to do that, right, then ASML will be worried. Hey, how? So right now, like the high-end chip manufacturing machine, if China can build it right, they might able to build it better, right? Then all our NVIDIA, TSMC, who do you think they'll buy from? They are all businessmen. They are not like patriotic people. Like in the sense that I should not put it that way. Businessmen come a profit and loss. Yeah. Yeah. Patriotic, yes. In the end of the day, we should be like proud to be a country citizen. But when it comes to business, right, it's dollar and cents. You know, right now we are sitting in like Singapore Launchpad, which is the where all the SME grow. So same thing in our conversation. In the end of the day, business is only two things: more revenue or cut costs. Purpose is third thing. So if we can fulfill these two things, then we come to talk about purpose. Yeah. But if without purpose, profit and cut costs, right, then there's no 灵魂, there's no soul in the company. Yeah. So purpose is also important in that sense. Yeah. So you have to keep in mind in these three things. Yeah. So this is what in our launchpad, in our SME center, when we talk about all this like running business. Come to ASML. Like, so if you look at the numbers, right, all their numbers looks good. I don't want to go into deep the number in this session because I will share you more information or things that I find out. Numbers looks good in the high teens. They can able to sell more. Even right now, the Chinese are asking for more. They have more business in Chinese. They are so-called, for example, they can go down to the end customer and then, like get the feel of it. All right. So they want to have more, even demand for more businesses. EUV are still the big portion of their business. So EUV is the most high-end machine you can find out there that can produce the smallest chip, right? So what are all these different machines? I picked down here from you. So DUV is something like entry level, produce like bigger so-called memory chip and stuff like that. It's not like going very small, so you can see like 193 nanometer laser. So deep UV. EUV is like is the higher end. So there's a low NA and high NA. Low NA machines like you can produce like 3nm, 5nm. So Apple, Snapdragons, Qualcomm Snapdragon, they use this machine to produce. Even GPU like NVIDIA, AMD, they also use low NA machine, right? So for high NA machine, it's even more expensive. One high NA machine is like 400,000 to produce one machine or to sell this one machine. All right. At the moment, only Intel use this machine. Intel is the first one to use this high NA machine, which caught to my surprise. I thought it is the most advanced one. From what I read from some of the article, right? They only require low NA at the moment. They are not going to high NA yet. Yeah. So these are all the end clients. They are relying on this company to produce most powerful chip. What they shared in the earnings call, right, is this. They don't want to promise better than expected sales at this current moment, and they promise at a lower end. So usually provide guidance, right? They'll have a high end and low end, right? So right now they only provide a low end guidance. And this is when investor don't like and sell the share. So that's why the share price went down. So this is what you heard out there. Like noises, it makes sense in the sense that for all those like fund manager, right, they need to manage their fund so that they can maximize return. This is the action they will do. But for individual investor, we might see it differently because our horizon or our objective are very different. We are not looking for 1-2%, or we are not adjusting for 1-2%. We are looking at multiple year growth. Coming to this, they say one of the biggest things that happened out there is the tariff, right? So right now, the main issue is they have this thing called 232 reviews are still pending, is still unknown. Tariff is still the biggest thing that they face from their customer end. And because of all this uncertainty, right, their client also don't want to commit the order. Although they have all the order book that's been grabbed, means their client, right, say, I like to put orders, but they don't want to commit at this moment. Yeah, because of all this tariff happening out there. And because of that tariff, right, the purchasing period become uncertain. Purchasing period become uncertain. Does it mean that they are not buying? Yes, I'll be buying a car soon. The word soon. The only car out there is this car called ASML. And I'll buy soon. Just sooner or later. Yeah. So what they meant is just not in the year of 2025, maybe later of 2026, maybe. So this is what I perceive from the outlook law. So that's why they don't want to commit in 2025 or even 2026. They say later half, all right? So they are more optimistic for 2026 later half. It's the thing about the business, but they also very confident in their 2030 target. Their 2030 target is 66 billion revenue. So that you remember is 66 first now. So they are still very committed in the 2030 kind of target, just that they are not committed in 2025 or 2026 target. So you ask me like would people be confident whereby if you buy a car, maybe you say I want to buy a car, but you may not be buying maybe like Mercedes, maybe you buy Xiaomi, maybe you buy Tesla, right? But when you want to come to like chip manufacturing, right? You say you want to buy, right? You want to buy a high-end manufacturing machine, right? You want to produce the so-called certain nanometer chip, right? You can only go to this company. So you don't think that it's highly likely people say sooner or later I will buy? They will buy from this company. Yeah. Let's say you rely on this machine to build your business. You will not say 10 years later. Yeah, 10 years the technology already don't know go where already. Yeah. So I'll go back to ASML. So this is what I think. Because why? Because they are the monopoly in EUV. At the current moment, no other company can produce EUV machine. Even previously back then they produced DUV, right? They can produce better than Nokia, or they can produce better than Canon, right? So right now they beat Canon and Nokia don't know how many miles away already, right? So why? Because they are a Dutch company, and then the US company would like to shift the power balance, so they go to ASML. Yeah. So if you read the chip war, right, there's a reason why ASML can do that, and there's a reason why ASML can produce all this shit. All right. Later I'll show you why. Come to this first slide. So, this EUV machine, right? There's a lot of components, there's a lot of parts, right? Can I still EUV machine is a gigantic machine. And this gigantic machine needs, so for example, the source vessel is Trump laser sign. Also invest in this company called is by this company called VDL. And this like optics is by this company called Carl Zeiss. Right? So in this single machine, right, they need to buy a lot of different parts and to put together. And they need to maintain all this relationship in order to produce machine. So that is quite tough already. It's quite tough. to have all these components and put together. Yeah. So even Chinese, right? They need to find the whole supply chain. Yeah. So the Shanghai Yuliangsheng Technologies or C Carrier or Shanghai Micro Electronics, they are building, right? They support by Huawei. And they need to get all these different new companies from like TikTok Technologies like Zhuhai, Cornerstone. So they need to build the whole ecosystem. They need to build the whole ecosystem to do the same. Yeah. So it is not easy. It's not easy. It's not impossible, but it's not easy. I also bring this out. So like what mentioned, yeah. So right now, no one know what their stage at. They say it could be in 5 years, 10 years, or in 15 years. But to build on an ecosystem, definitely need time. Yeah. So if you ask me from now to 2030, right? Yeah, maybe 2030, China will have their own EUV machine, but within these next few years, right, it's a bit tough. It's the thing about like, okay, there's new out there, they don't want to commit, the sales might come in later. And yes, the sales might come in later, but would they buy from them? I say, highly likely. Yeah. Would they buy from China? Maybe, but maybe not in these next few years. Yeah. So if you can invest in ASML, yep. So another one thing that I find from the investing community out there, right? They are looking at the ASML, so-called like return to shareholder. In other words, dividend and also share buyback. So there's this like very interesting share buyback graph right here. So maybe it's too small. I just narrate lah. So they have like different time period. So this is focusing on 2022 to 2025. So when 2022 when the market is down, right? They didn't start purchase. They start purchase in 2023 when their share price is like in 500 to 600. Yeah. So euro to USD, you just times 1.2 lah. So 600 is roughly 700 plus US dollar. Yeah, you follow, right? Around 700 plus US dollar. All right. And you will see 2024, when all the market hype up, when the share price went up to 1,000, right? They didn't buy any. And the share price went down in 2025, right? They start to accumulate from $600 down to $500 to 650. Just type in 650 lah. So, in other words, do you think they are quite smart in using their capital to do share buyback? Unlike the rest of the company, right? They every year do share buyback. Whenever allocate, they go share buyback. And then the share price went up. No, I think in this case, right, ASML, I go search out, do they have like share buyback policies like what Berkshire Hathaway have like so-called shared previously? So previously, like Warren Buffett said, so let's say if the price to book drop lesser than 1.4, right? The company will start doing share buyback. So this is what they communicate previously. They are not doing this with this method anymore, but previously they do that. But I go search like, do ASML have this kind of like share buyback policy or strategy, right? They didn't announce it out loud. But from the action, right? From what I see here, is always when there's some pullback, right? There's the time they go do share buyback. And there's also when we can share, what is the average price of share buyback? Maybe this is how they look their company valuation. Yeah. And if you look at 650 euro, right, it's close to 750 or 780 US dollar. And if you right now look at ASML share price, right? Yeah, in terms of like USD lah. Yeah, in terms of USD 720. I would say they have some internal method to do valuation. Internal method whereby what is the price they think it worth to allocate the capital, but they didn't out blatantly say that this might be a sign whereby they think the company is undervalued. Yeah. So right now the share price is like 700, close to 700. Yeah. So if they like to activate the fund to buy more, right? Maybe they will continue to buy at these prices. Yeah, so this is the fact in terms of their share buyback action. So go to the YouTube channel, click follow, click subscribe, click like, no notification. Yeah. Help me do that next week, next Tuesday. Keep supporting us. Thank you very much. Bye bye.